go. You're on. Okay, have we got audio? No. Okay.
Playing with a wonderful group of people who are all on the screens all around me. And we're going to be doing it in this world I've created that is known as AEROWEN. Welcome to the test run of this world that was still in progress of making in a lot of ways, but we're going to see what the players help build out with it and whatever strange things emerge from my mind as is usual. But before we can get into that, got to do a little bit of, I believe Simon has astutely referred to it before as housekeeping. So first off, sponsors. People keep the lights running here. So first off, huge thank you to Tabletop Loot, our amazing dice sponsor, providers of fine dice for all your gaming needs. Head on over to www.tabletoploot.com and use the code WTTPDICE to get 15% off your next purchase. After that, why don't you go and check out So Nerdwear? Maddie and his amazing merch stuff are the sole providers of Welcome to the Party merch. So head over to www.sonerdwear.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdwear, it's what the nerds wear. And also, we are going to be playing this game on our wonderful, fantastic sponsor, Roll20 site. So WTTP is now proudly sponsored by Roll20, virtual tabletop that runs straight out of your web browser. Everything you need to play with your friends is ready at the click of a mouse. From click-to-roll character sheets to built-in video and voice chat. You can even upload your own maps and tokens. Get all that and more with a free basic account on Roll20.net. Sign up now at http://roll20.net/start/WTTP. Last but not least in our sponsors, the fantastic, the wonderful Mapstress, Devin Rue, who has proudly and wonderfully supported us in a big way since this community first started. For some of the best cartographical content on the web, check out rootink.com. Last couple of things. Patreon. Patreon not only goes to support the channel, but the people who support it too. Your generosity allows us to keep working on our mission to platform amazing LGBTQ plus and BIMPOC players and creators. So check us out at patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg. And lastly, if you love the fantastic folks you're going to see enacting hijinks, and oh dear, camera's happening again. We will fix that in but a moment, everybody. And we're going to ignore that because tech gremlins are a thing. If you want to take part in seeing all of the and chatting with the fantastic people you see here and more, why not join our Discord? We have a fantastic community there, some wonderful mods who are always doing great work. And if you want to join us, the link should be in the chat or down below the video. So with all that out of the way, I would like to, before we get into play, let our fantastic players just quickly introduce themselves. So whoever would like to take the initiative here and introduce just who you are and just name of who you're playing and roll like just your sentence for what your character is, but don't describe your character just yet. Just who they are, who you're playing.
I'll kick it off. So hello everyone. My name is Simon. You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris, and I will be playing Nopalzin, who is a rugged glaive who lives in the wilderness.
Next up.
Hello everybody, I am Satsup and I'm playing Haroun Musafir. He is a clever jack who fights with panache.
Fantastic. Next up.
I'll go. Hello, my name is Gemma. I go by the interwebs as Kupo Knight or Kupo, and tonight I will be playing Hanan de la Vega, who is a nurturing nano who possesses a shard of the sun.
Bright, happy, wonderful, and next up.
Hello, I am Bram. You can find me at Defiatos on the internet, and I am playing AEROWEN Raditya Nagahari, a intelligent nano who crafts illusions.
Curse you, audio button. Last but not least, Noah.
Hello, my name is Noah, and I'm gonna be playing as Craven, the mechanic rides who have a boat and a bunch of family made of junks and tools.
And we will get to see all of those family members in a short amount of time, I'm certain, to both our fantastic glee and what I'm certain will be our GM's dismay. But so, introductions out of the way, all of the housekeeping done. Let's set the scene for where we find our party members and the world that they find themselves traveling through. Viewers, travelers, you enter in the ninth cycle of a world among the skies. You live where people live not upon the ground, but upon floating island settlements, scattered all throughout, moving in rotations of various ways that every year seem to alter ever so faintly, in ways that seem undetectable except by the most revered and most astute of scholars who have begrudgingly spent much of their time figuring out inane details like that, as scholars are wont to do. But whether it's simply just charting out those rotations or just wanting to get a sense of how to travel between these locales, people live in the world of AEROWEN with at least one understanding, which is that everyone will travel. Everyone will move through different regions defined by the elements, and we'll also always remember to keep in mind one other thing, that the fog, the valleys of fog that exist below their floating islands are never to be ventured into, lest they risk never returning again. But of course, as people are wont to do, people investigate, people look, people do reckless things and get into shenanigans because people are people. But more intriguing as of late, as we imagine the camera moving through, taking a sort of panoramic shot of the various regions of the world, the fiery terrains and sun flare spotted fields, sandy areas of Numenera, the lush, vibrant, water-drenched terrain of Hydros, the storm wall, gale, and lightning and thunder-shrouded terrain of Downpour, and the region which our group is heading towards now, the agriculturally grounded, nurtured, and rich earthen terrain of Terra. But our group is not in any of these regions just as of yet. Instead, we take a glimpse through the camera of one particular spot somewhere among these vast, vivid, bright skies that form the space, essentially the quote-unquote road stand-in for what we might use in traditional traveling and fantasy. And we look upon a massive bird, a condor, massive black feathers, just little bits of ringed white, and a bird that, by all intents and purposes, aside from its size, would not appear to be any different from the ones we see in our world, except replacing the sort of bald head is a line of metallic crystals that form a sort of frill atop the head, and wrapped around are a set of just very thin, silvery and electrically inclined, almost like reins, that a humanoid, bird-shaped, somewhat tawny kind of skin, very crunched in beak, very massive yellow-green eyes, is paying attention to and keeping focus. This is a Gustwalker, one of the avian peoples of AEROWEN. And as this individual is sort of curmudgeonly grumbling to themselves and trying to get this condor to follow their direction, you see them turn behind them just for a moment towards the saddle, massive though it is, as this bird is roughly 40, 50 feet in wingspan, and the space from end of the tail feather to the beak is another 60, 70 feet long. It's a massive bird. this individual who goes by the name of Danu turns back towards a group of 5 individuals currently on the back of this bird, of this condor. All right, it's getting kind of boring with nobody talking, so someone tell me, what has you on this mission? What has you wanted to go to this place? And for whomever answers in turn, one by one, what does Danu, the Potu gust walker who is taking hold of the reins of this condor right now, what do they see as they turn to look at each of you in response?
Hanan blurts out Numenera, and the person who blurted this out is a humanoid, short, and as I click on my multiple tabs on how to describe them. So Hanan is short, long black hair, a bit wavy, shaved on one side. Their age, actually, they don't really know, but looks about 27, 28. Their eyes are a vibrant amber, dark brown skin, and they're currently wearing a multicolored, like a wide shawl that covers their upper chest, but leaves their shoulders and collar bare. It's like blues, reds, and oranges with multiple patches of like patterns. And they're just wearing like very loose, comfortable, like travel-like pants, also pretty vibrant in color. There's, even though they're dark brown, even though their skin is dark brown, in the chest area that you can see, it the shawl kind of hides a tattoo of an 8-pointed, pretty much a half of a sun, like almost like a sunrise, and it's 8-pointed, and the rays kind of stretch out towards the neck and outwards towards the collar and to the shoulders. And their arms are also covered in like these, including the sun is also included, these white, like very tribal, like tattoo marks, but they're just this like kind of this off-white on their skin rather than the, like, I guess, traditional black. On their forearm, there's lines running through the off-white, but on their inner arm, it's just solid colored off-white. So I guess if you would look at Hanan from afar, you would think they would be pale-skinned, but it's actually just because of all the tribal markings on their body. I guess I think that's enough for now. But yes, they answered very, their pronouns are they, them, and they answered very just like straight up Numenera. That's it. That's why I'm here.
Alrighty, so you must be one of those, I'm guessing, treasure huntery types or what have you. One of those, I don't know, which word to use here, brave or reckless ones who likes going into the fog? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know about that. I just want the knowledge. I mean, this area is undiscovered.
Yeah, ever since the fog pulled back, a lot of folk have been wondering what in the world this kind of place is. But heck if I know why anyone would want to go diving straight into it. But what about the rest of you? What's got your interest in here?
To figure it out is what AEROWEN, the next person, probably also sitting there, just blurts out right after that. It's like, and as you see this individual, just as I also pull out the tabs, you see this individual in just this with sort of long black hair, with wearing a sort of felt hat, like wrapped hat of sort, and this hat, it's this almost black with these streaks of color, just running across like lines across their hat, and they're just they're wearing these this heavily embroidered outfit, this clothing. That looks to be just covered in these concentric circles, just circling all around their clothing. They've got a somewhat stocky build to them, but and it's just, and within all these circles, there's just these little pinpricks of color. So it's just a lot. Like if you look at a like one of those, I believe it's impressionistic painting from like really up close, where you see all those pinpoints. It's like that, but if you just spread out all those points and you just highlighted everything with all these circles, and it's just this almost flood of color, as their hair is also almost a time, which you can't really see from the front, but from the back, is that it occasionally looks like it's some sort of colorful image, but as their head moves, it just shifts into another colorful image. It's just like a splattering of paints.
Huh. Another information one. Well, and like fully, you see Danu just sort of like turns and just kind of like reels back for a second. It's like, ah, God, so much color. Jesus. Whoever that is. Man, that's a lot. Well, you're very bright. Very bright. Mm-hmm. What about the other three of you? And it's just sort of like, and again, remember, this is a reminder, if for anyone who has ever seen what a Potu looks like, they have giant eyes that are disproportionately sized to their head. So you're just seeing very like full on display, like someone who's seen like a ghost appear right in front of him, having that reaction to all of the colors. But okay, someone else while I remember how to see.
Well, it all started with a familial visit at my place of work, the circus, at which point I was asked what I was doing, and subsequently motivated to go out and seek adventure rather than just simply performing and leaping around for the entertainment of multitudes of people. As this comes from an individual with dark brown skin, a pencil mustache, and a slight gleam to his eyes.
Well, at least if we ever get bored, which is how I felt at some points throughout my trips, at least I'll know that I can talk to you for entertainment. And either of you, or y'all not too much of the chatting types?
I'm the guide.
That was very confident statement. Very confident
Just-
statement.
You can't go down into the great outdoors without having somebody there to keep you safe. And no offense to everybody else here, but I think they're a lot better at handling ciphers than they are at handling themselves while sleeping out under the open sky. So that's why I'm here. I'm very good at what I do. Nepalzin is large. He's about 6 feet tall. He is very athletic and very muscular. He's got like a very like I've been outside and had to like lift and climb and swim. So he's not like bodybuilder physique. He's like practical physique, like muscle and fat in equal measure. He is his skin has these interlaced subdermal tattoos of turquoise that sort of look like a jade pattern that are swirling over his shoulders, down his arms, sort of coils up his face. So like part of his face has these designs on them. His armor is very what we might call science fiction Jaguar Knight. So he's got sort of like a jaguar motif helmet with a pelt that is coming down. But his armor also is sort of inlaid with fresh flowers that he's sort of like jammed in there that have been dried so that they're preserved. He's got a cloak sort of wrapped around his neck and tossed over his back that's sort of fluttering in the wind, which has quetzal feathers interlaid into it. And he is sort of darker skinned, dark hair that is sort of tied back right now, side shaved like a ponytail, and is clearly like has armor that's a mixture of metals and leathers, and it looks like it's been out in the wild for a very long time. Still well kept, but clearly like this is not fresh off the rack. This has been very lived in and used and beaten up. And
So
he just sort of looks at
so-
everyone and like, yes.
So he has all the bearings of someone who's like, this is not your first rodeo. He has that kind of
Oh,
vibe.
yeah.
I'm getting.
Yeah.
Well, at least, well, even if you're going to do something reckless with a whole bunch of folk, at least you are a sensible one for doing this and come prepared.
Oh yeah.
Lovely.
I'm
to
going
see
to keep
another-
everybody safe.
So he sort of eyes you over for a bit, and you can kind of tell, probably checking you out just very faintly. It seems to just like, like he's trying to hide it just a little bit, but because of the giant eyes, it's very hard to hide that kind of thing. But so, and then you see slight red happen, and then he just sort of turns to the last person in the group. And what about you over there? What was the name again? Was it Crave something? What was it? What was your name?
It's Craven Celestis. Please get it right. But you know what? That's fair. My name's kind of hard to spell anyway. But I'm just here because I want to make the best invention in the world. From scraps oddities and Numeneras. Make something revolutionary. That and Karen's been haunting me to find her a new date. It's just, she's been bugging me about it ever since her divorce with Ryan. Wait, no, it was Aldrin. Yeah, Aldrin. My buzzer. Buzz Aldrin. And well, Craven is he's a short, lanky man with pale tan skin, with well scraps decorating his oil stained robe with belts and zipper, keeping the clothes together, and he also keep his it also keep his two clothes. And he has a heterochromic eyes. There's a light. This part is light blue, and this one is green. And he has a very messy hair that is stained with oil, and some parts even got like dried up on his hair. And he always have this scrunch up face because he's always like fiddling with his tools. He looks like a mad scientist. In fact, he's kind of are, and he seems to be always hunched down or squatting down, just like a gremlin, a nerdy gremlin mechanic that he is.
So whereas Nopazian has the like rugged adventurer reason for everything is stained, Craven has the mechanical like robot tinkerer version for why everything's in like disrepair or messed up. All right, and like while you've been mentioning Karen and like everything, he's just like he's been paying attention to the reins, but like when you started going into the Karen thing, he just kept cocking his head increasingly, and he lost track of the reins, and you just hear the massive condor that he's on go. He's like, whoa, 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 calm down, calm down, calm down. Oh boy. Welp. That's fine. You have a moment where everyone probably just gets a little tense because you see the bird just kind of dip suddenly.
Oh.
But he's like, whoa.
Is the creature okay?
Yeah. That's fine. It's just Tali gets a little upset every now and then whenever I don't pay enough attention to her, which is, or rather when I don't pay the amount of attention she wants, which is all the time.
Sounds like Karen.
I sympathize with you in this, but You see him like from a pack that's on his bag. He pulls out what looks like a set of metallic split Y rods that look like they're made out of a mixture of like silver, copper, bits of what look like electrical sort of like wire, like electricity forming little bands of wires. And then it looks like there's 4 bands all across each of it. One looks like a deep brown color, one looks like a deep yellow, one is a deep blue, and another one is a deep heavy purple. And it's sort of like, all right, gotta adjust the thing, gotta move it around, and you see them start vibrating ever so much, and it's like, here we go, this way. We'll probably be back at the settlement, and we'll be able to reach the north outpost on your way over to where I imagine all of you are heading. But there's been a couple of gale spots and occasional echo effect from like a sunspot shooting off from over in Numenera, but we should be smooth sailing. But yeah, get comfortable. Should be fine for a bit.
That cloud bank over there looks a little dangerous. If you steer a little bit over to the right, you should be able to avoid it. If you coax the back of the bird using your heels, you might be able to get a little bit more speed.
Hanan puts their hand on like Nopalzin's shoulder, and maybe you should let it, let them do their job. I'm sure they have it. I'm sure they have it.
Oh, wait, was I doing the thing again?
Just a bit, but you're improving so much better.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So, Nopalzin, I would like to offer you a GM intrusion at this point.
Yeah, hit me.
Because I kind of imagine or the option for something. Because I know from your particular skill set, you are quite trained in working with animals and such, and just anything related to that. I'm going to say that the intrusion I'm offering you at this point is, you notice the bird is nervous, but if you'll allow the intrusion to go through, I'll let you get a sense of what I'll work through getting a sense of what in particular might be agitating the bird, because everyone can kind of tell like the bird's maybe a little meh, but it's probably like it might not be a big deal. But because you are so trained in working with animals, I want to offer you that intrusion.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it.
Okay, so mark down, you get an experience, and you get to give an experience to one other person. So for those who are tuning in and who are kind of new to the system, as I am also still relatively new to the system, the way this works is that GM intrusion can offer a moment where let's just add a little bit of excitement or narrative thrust, as we might just refer to it. And whoever accepts it gets 1 XP for themselves and 1 XP to give to someone else. Just a sort of nice way that we spread around resources, and these can be used for various things. But so you take it, and you notice the way the bird's feathers are moving, it looks like it's steering clear of a particular direction, even though Danu is just kind of like looking at the rods, looking down at the bird, and it looks like he's trying to steer it back in that, because it looks like they have a clear, like they have the sense that like they know what they're doing, but they don't seem to be picking up because they're focusing on these, what you might refer to as very high-tech dowsing rods. Just, they're like distracted and they don't notice. But you pick up, they're avoiding something. And this is a kind of traveling mount that doesn't avoid something unless it's much bigger than it.
Right. Okay. So I think I'm going to give the XP to Hanan, because like a few moments pass after that, and then Nepalzin like sort of sees that happen and double checks, like, wait, no, is this pattern shifting? And he leans over to Hanan and goes, wait, but I think the way the bird is flying, there's something over there. It's avoiding a natural. I know that sometimes I'm a little bad with people, but I actually think I can help here. Should I say something?
Hanan Hanan notices that the kind of more serious tone Nopalzin's taken and nods and goes, yeah, go ahead. This sounds different than the usual nervousness an animal would take.
And so Nepalzin like leans back and sort of braces himself a little further on the bird. Friend pilot, I know that you're very busy, but there seems to be a disturbance. I think your mount is fighting you. If you're finding the reins are a little tough to pull, the disturbance over there is consistent with a larger beast moving around. Maybe there's something a deeper threat.
I just checked in with a couple of settlements, like a few bits back, like a few like tracks back. Like we should be fine. Like there hasn't been a sighting of like of a storm bird or even of a terror bird or any of these ones in a while. Then just kind of, because I imagine he kind of had to turn back to look at you to talk for a second, and then
Right.
you just see the eyes, which were already very big, go even wider.
Whoa. do you see something? He's right, isn't he?
You all start hearing
We're about to have a very, very happy time, aren't we?
That doesn't sound good.
That's not the only sound you hear as the massive wing beating is happening. You're also hearing what sounds like
Oh,
You all turn back. This is known as a storm bird. They are one of a series of avian creatures present throughout all of AEROWEN. They're, I guess you might call it a road hazard of traveling through the skies that most folks try to avoid. But it looks like there's one about a long distance away from you that if we have a size comparison point, your bird is gargantuan. This bird is about a size category higher than that. It's a big bird, and it seems to be like there's whole segments of right around the joints that look like they're composed of various silver and golden and blue sort of metallic structures that seem to be just coursing through electrical energy all through the feathers. Like as wind is going through each of the feathers and they're catching with it, you just see like little bits of sparks going through it.
How fascinating.
Everybody stay calm. It's a storm bird.
That's
Okay, so should we worry throwing it off or no?
If we can goad our mount to try and bank off around the thermal over there, we should be able to get a little bit of speed to move past it, unless it's already seen us and it's marked us as prey, in which case we need to be as stable as possible.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Well,
You're muted, Koopa, by the way. Hanan, you're muted.
Hmm.
But Craven, I think you were saying something right now?
Oh, Graven just looks at the birds and he was like, if he's trying to eat us, I can shoot my disc and try to choke him with it.
Whoa! I appreciate the bravado, friend, but I think that something like that is not quite as powerful enough to take down a beast of this size. I think sometimes when we're dealing with a larger predator, you actually want to try and evade it first. Of course, when we're cornered, then all bets are off. But
wait, are we for sure they're out to get us? I don't want to destroy this creature if nothing.
Yeah, is it hungry or hunting us, or is it just like there?
I will say for this one, which is going to be the first roll that we do for this campaign. I
Mm.
will
Yeah.
I will have it be, this is an intellect roll of 3 because it's a stressful situation
Mhm.
and you might need a bit of a sense of knowing what you're doing. You have to pay attention. This is something where, like, for example, if Craven, who doesn't suddenly turn his attention, is probably not going to do very well at, but this is something where probably now with the attention being got, somewhat difficult, but we could see what happens with it. So the way this works for anyone who's not used to Numenera, to explain this out for the players as well. So I give you a target number difficulty, or I give you a difficulty. So it's 3, which means what you need to try and roll with the D20 roll is a 9 or higher in order to reach there. Now, if you have any sort of training that would improve this situation and what you're trying to do, because from what I can tell, from what I'm guessing from either Nopal, Zine, and Hanan are trying to do, they're trying to convince the bird to try and evade this. If anyone wants to try and be involved in that in some way, you can ease the difficulty, which essentially lowers the difficulty and as a result the target number, using whatever sorts of skills or training you might have. Potentially up to the point where you make it, nope, you're fine. So, difficulty 3, intellect. Yes, Arun.
Would danger sense be applicable in this situation?
Isn't that about ambushes?
That is that. I feel like if you were trying to do something, I'll put it to you this way. How would you be trying to use your danger sense? Like how do you see that factoring into this?
Trying to see where I can see the bird going to catch up with us, or where it would try to intercept us in our flight path.
I think I'll allow it. I think that sounds fair to me in that case. So yours would be, so that'd be 2 for you.
I have training in identifying animals.
And you have your specialty with doing anything related to animals, correct?
I only actually have specialization with identifying plants.
Oh, okay, but you do have training.
But I do have
working
training
animals.
with identifying animals, training them, riding them.
Yeah, so I
placating
think that
them,
would definitely
right.
apply to this. So your target number would be, so your difficulty would be eased down to 2.
2, yep.
Okay, so anyone else is trying to do something with this? Oh, the difficulty is 3, unless you can have a skill or some other asset that might help you in the situation to try and get your bird to get out of the way of this thing, or maybe do something to help the bird in that process. And this could also extend to looking for ways to get out of the situation.
Okay, I will elect not to spend any effort on this one. Or do I
Okay.
have to spend effort?
No, you do not have to spend effort. So this is a thing, again, for folks who are new to this and also to help me get a handle on these rules, because this is the first time running this kind of system. Folks can spend from the pool, from their particular pool, they can spend a set amount of points. It's 3 initially and then 2 for every time afterwards, to use effort to ease a difficulty of a task of any kind. And if they have an edge in that, it lowers the cost. Other things like that are related, or if you were in combat and you wanted to add damage to that, you could also spend effort for that. But for the purposes of the roll and roll 20, you just have to put in 0 effort and then roll it through once you go through all the things to type it. So let's see if I hear from Harun. That would beat a difficulty 1. So that's your roll. We'll get to that and we'll see what happens with that. Nopalzine, so if you wanted to try and give that a roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna apply a level of effort. So that costs 3 points from my pool, correct?
Yes, 3 from your intellect pool, because
From my
it's
intellect
an
pool.
intellect task.
All right, so my intellect pool was at 7, so it's now down at 4, which brings the difficulty down to a 1.
Yep.
And I spent a level of effort. Actually, does it automatically factor in effort?
It does not, for roll 20 purposes, you specify whether you're putting in any effort each time you're doing the
Yeah,
rolls.
I think
it'll ask you as a prompt.
Yeah.
in as part of the roll doing process.
Okay, so if I to quickly go through the roll 20, then it was at 3. My training brings it down to a 2. Then do I bump it down to difficulty 1 before the effort, or leave it at 2 and apply the level of effort?
I'd say leave it at 2 and then apply the level
Yeah,
of effort. That should do it.
That should do the math.
Yeah.
All right.
Theoretically, that should do the math. So it's difficulty
is.
2. The roll was a 1.
What?
Ooh.
Oh.
That means an automatic GM intrusion occurs.
Wah.
Oh, intrusion upon intrusions.
Exactly.
Intrusions upon
Stacking.
intrusions.
We love
They're
intrusions here.
They're stacking.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Intrusion stack.
So, okay. Does anyone else want to try and do a roll related to this? I was not certain if anyone else wanted to chime in. Just waiting.
Not good with animals, so no.
I don't want to attack or endanger the bird as of yet. So Hanan does not want to do anything. But I do have an enabled ability. Can that just be used like any time?
An enabler ability is just always active. You don't have to like spend an action or anything to do anything.
Okay.
It's a passive.
It's
Okay.
a passive buff essentially.
Because I'm basically trained in any task that involves sight. So I kind of just want Hanan is just kind of focusing on the bird and just kind of like observing and trying to see if there's any either movement or just kind of observing with the bird's actions if they're going if it's more of a predatory approach, or is it just trying to like, I'm just minding my own business, flying away kind
I'm
of
just
thing.
being a scary ass bird.
Yeah, like I'm
command
scary,
presence.
but I'm just moseying along, like kind of thing.
Okay, so in your case, because of that lowers the difficulty down to a 2.
Okay.
So if you want to apply any effort to lower that even more to a 1, you can. But we'll see what happens from there. But right now, your difficulty is at a 2.
Okay. So that's not bonus, right? Because it's gonna start asking thousands of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll only ask you for the difficulty and if you're adding effort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do effort.
So let's see what happens.
Survey says.
Survey says.
Survey says.
Cost is 0.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay, that's a roll of 19, which means you get to add. So we'll do these. I'll put it this way so that we can make this as collaborative as possible, because I want to work
Awesome.
with that element. How Harun and Nopalzine, each in turn, how does this not work out when you're trying to help? And then I'll introduce something to which Hanan can add a minor effect to and a success for what they're trying to accomplish. How about we resolve that situation like that?
It's
So-
coming from the right, so we should definitely go left.
You see the Danu is just sort of like looking at you and is like, okay.
Trust me, this is a science that I practiced very well.
He's very confident about he's very confident, like, I know exactly what I'm doing, okay? What does Nopalzine do on top of that creates complication?
So I think he is trying to like if the bird is behind us, right?
Yes, it
So I
looks
think
like it's gaining. a little
Nepalzine's
bit.
like trying to like crane his neck, and like, wait, but left? No, we have to. And then like he climbs around and tries to reverse position, so that he can actually see it. And then if we're being chased, he can go for his bow and take a shot and try and distract it. So he I think is like caught up in trying to unbuckle himself and get him around, like being on the back of this bird, to look around. And like in the process, like the cloak is flapping in the wind. It probably like gets up in his eyes. Maybe like a wisp of cloud also like comes up at just the right angle that he's like, wait, but and he's trying to get a vision, and then it goes behind a cloud bank for a second. And so all we see is like the giant silhouette of that thundering storm bird in the cloud, and then it comes back out, and so he can't he's so stressed on trying to get around this the whole situation.
I imagine with the cloud coming in, it's sort of like when you like you open your mouth to try and talk in the middle of like when it's like a very windy day and you get stuff like in your mouth, so you're like, wait a minute. But it's like for his eyes, he's just like, yeah, dang it. Okay, so the intrusion I'll offer in this month, well, not even offering, that I get to do for free because of that role. The good news is the bird does not appear to be focusing on you currently, because there is a secondary bird that is coming from the other direction now.
Perfection.
However, Hanan, so your goal with that was to look around, see if you could steer the bird somewhere and get a sense of, well, wasn't the steering, it was to figure out the bird's intention.
Right.
Okay. You do get a sense of what this bird's intention is. It is hungry, but it doesn't seem like it's purposely intent on your group right now. And I'll say minor effect, that is up for you to decide what else, if you'd like an additional piece of information, if you want me to give you other surrounding details you see. I leave that up to you, what you'd like your little minor effect to be. It's nothing big, but it gives you another little bump.
Yeah, Hanan senses that, but they would like to know if or I guess just kind of the more like immediate surroundings, and if they're like, if they are going to, if they're aiming towards us and going to like what's the word? Words. Crash into us or anything.
I'll say, to add on to your positive effect, you do see they're to the left. So to Haroon's credit, he was not necessarily leading you in away from the bird, but to his credit, he did actually have a good idea in that a bit of ways, still long distance, but less long distance, because in Numenera, we don't really use exact feet or meters. We use immediate, short, I think it's like long, and then medium, and then long, and then just way too far for us
out there.
Out there. The other bird is out there getting now into long, but this settlement, you see another floating island is beginning to rise up some distance away, and it looks as though there is a dome like building there of very deep, vivid blues, reds, and yellows that seem as though they're emanating this pulse that from this almost like satellite dish kind of covering on top of it that's absorbing, from what you can now see from taking in all the details, the sun beginning to set around you. It looks as though it's big enough that you could settle down your bird and potentially avoid what you now see are two birds coming in your direction.
I squint a bit because it is still like pretty far off, but I think Hanan would notice that and kind of go talk to Danu and just hey, there's the island coming up. It seems like there's it looks like a dome. Maybe we can land there for now and kind of wait till these birds blow over or fly away.
Oh yeah, yep. I recognize that. That's Harta's old place. Geez, oh boy, oh dear. And now because he didn't pick up on it, and because Haroon was the one. No, it was Nopalzi was the one to notice it first, and now he's seeing it. They are now seeing the second bird and beginning to panic a little bit. They're like, ooh. He's a little stressed trying to lead the bird.
Oh no, poor birdie.
Before I say anything else, what was that, Haroon?
Don't worry, stay the course and we shall see ourselves through this situation. After all, there are two birds in this situation, and if any of them wants to make a meal of us, the other will most certainly try to stop its competitor. Of course, it may also be focusing on us as well, but we'll let the birds duke it out amongst each other. I'm sure we'll be fine. Compared to the other bird, we're more like a peanut to a steak. So, yes.
So what you're saying is I'm still going to be food regardless. Gotcha.
No, what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that we're not going to be food because there's bigger food out there.
I see your point. Immediately starts going for like full on nosedive. He's like, you know what? You're right. This will be fine. Like if it were like a biplane, you'd be hearing the kind of sound as the bird is just like, and this poor condor is just suddenly gone from like a relatively slow pace to like furiously beating.
Oh no!
What is anyone else doing in this moment? Because the two birds are still coming, but one seems to be heading off the path, heading off more towards to deal with the other big bird.
Um, while hanging on for probably dear life a little bit, just trying to see if I can remember if there's anything that just like in the panic of thinking, oh, is there something else that that these stormbirds consider even bigger birds, so to speak, something else that might be hunting them? But
I'll say, let's make it's an intellect, difficulty 2 intellect task to see if you can remember something, because part of me is thinking I have ideas what you could be trying to do right now. But intellect 2 task, because this is not something that people encounter these birds a lot of the time. Everyone travels, so it's relatively common knowledge, but it's not something everyone immediately remembers right
okay.
off the top of their head. So just a difficulty 2 intellect.
Yeah, difficulty 2. I think just yeah. Let's go. Let me just double check. Putting in a point of effort is how much from my pool again? Sorry.
So
Initial
point of effort, lower it down to difficulty 1, and you took 3 points from your pool, but if you have an edge, it lowers it to 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that.
Very good. You would have
Alright.
just passed the roll. God, these rolls are not great today.
Nope.
But you do recall that these birds do, on occasion, when they meet their various kin across the boundary zones of all of the other terrains of AEROWEN, they do get frightened, or at least more interested if you create something of a, how should we say, an opposing sort of element. So a lot of these seem to be, and it's very weird for you, I'd say AEROWEN in particular, because you have a relatively encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of different things. These storm birds don't normally go this far north,
Oh.
and because they're normally quite afraid of local Terran birds that are, they look like if someone took massive like bald eagles and stitched on portions of metallic encrusted gems and like molten rock to form armor all across where their feathers are.
Okay. With that, if I may, I'd like to try to essentially on the back of this bird as we're retreating down as I'm gripping for dear life, start just like drawing in the middle of the air and an image of one of these birds, a very, let's say, not the actual birds of it, but like if I can't recall the image of a chick version of it, then just the same bird, but like you just scale it all the way down because my maximum size is a 10-foot cube.
10-foot cube version of this. Okay.
Yeah, diorama, just like, but it doesn't move, and it's just like
You took a cropped image of one of the bigger birds, essentially, and you just made it 3D.
Yeah, just like right behind us, like just like in a sort of angry looking pose, outwards towards the two birds.
Okay. You're veering down. People are holding on real tight.
Mhm.
There's a couple of moments, just a few beats, where the birds are still going towards each other. You see them move ever so faintly, both of them, towards this illusion. And they have that, yes, the illusion that has that sort of aggressive gesture to it. They move towards it, and they have that, the sort of like cartoon problem where someone suddenly wants to like skid along the rug to stop, but they're big birds, so not exactly the most dexterous of creatures, and so you just all hear a big thunk as they ram into each other's heads because the illusion's not there, but they get afraid of it. They're confused, scared, and then now dazed, and you just see them kind of doing one of these. They're like, You're just kind of like somewhat floating in the air, and now they're like pecking, trying to peck at each other, but they don't seem interested in your group right now. However, with the sudden detour that you had to make in order to get through this, Danu is still panicking a little bit and does not have the best control of the massive condor. So you are coming in very fast to land into this settlement. I'm going to need from everyone, oh boy, I'm going to say a level 3 speed defense task to see if you can avoid, if you are dexterous enough.
Ooh, okay.
I had a quick question too regarding
Yes.
that earlier intrusion. Do I get 2 XP for that? Do I not? For the failing the
For failing one, I
for getting a
believe,
1 on that test.
If I have it correct, when a GM intrusion comes in, there is no experience. That's the one occasion, but it's only on a natural one.
It's only on the natural one.
It's only
Okay.
on a natural one. The idea,
Cool.
I think, is that like it's the one time where I can just be like,
And here's the thing, right?
Yeah. Whereas other times I could just give you a GM intrusion, and it will allow you that experience.
Cool. Just
But-
double checking.
Yeah, no worries.
And this is a speed test.
I
Speed
have
defense.
something. Can I use my gravity changer, like Raven just throw his gravity changer at the ground, go where they're heading, and then they use that gravity changer to slow down the speed
Yes.
so the bird can.
Yes. That will lower your difficulty. I'm going to say because that, even if it's not a major effect, it's enough to affect for everyone. So no matter what, I'm going to say because of that gravity changer, everyone's difficulty for that roll will be already dropped down to a 2. It'll be an asset provided to everyone.
Nice.
And you can feel free to describe what it looks like when this gravity changer just sort of gets tossed and goes into effect as you're going down.
So Craven is holding on to the saddle, and then he just pulls out the metal plates, and then he just shout, "All right, daydreaming Ryan, it's your turn to shine. Come on!" And then they just throw it to the ground, and then it flops, and then it starts. Yeah, it starts emitting like blue outline of like lights as it's changing the gravity slightly.
Okay, that's coming into effect. So does anyone else have skills related to speed defense or something related to agility or things of that sort where it might defend them in this case
Okay.
to help lower their difficulty?
I mean, I already rolled, so I jumped the gun on that.
No, you didn't get to tell me. Even though you rolled, you can still tell me. I was going to give folks a chance, so I think it's only fair in this case. If there was something that you think would have lowered that would have helped you, either through skill or an asset, I would still allow it, even if you've already rolled.
My danger sense is based off of speed. So
What was that?
My danger sense is based off speed. So would that be applicable here?
I think in this case, this is definitely applicable. This is the definition of what being attuned to danger would be. You are about to crash into a settlement riding a giant condor.
Okay.
So your difficulty would only be a difficulty of 1 speed.
Okay. And I managed to roll an 11.
Okay. So let's see, what have we got so far? Yep. Haroon would be fine. Craven would be fine. Yes, it's a roll 14. That beats it. Adawan would be fine. Nopalzine would be fine. And
I have not rolled yet.
so
Is it speed?
it is speed. You're welcome to put in effort. And if you can think of anything among your materials that could help as an asset.
For the record, I put forth my training in balancing and jumping. Sort of, I can imagine either of those being useful, like keeping balance, and then when we hit, like, all right, use the momentum to do a dive and then tuck and roll.
I think the only thing I can think of is that I have a natural like ward around me, which just adds like 1 to my armor. But
that would be more of something where like trying to actively attack you.
Yeah.
And reduce the damage. This will, no matter what, it'll reduce some of the damage.
Okay.
For you.
Yeah. Other than that, nothing in regards to speed. I don't think. I'm kind of a squishy character.
Price of playing a mage. But
yep, I'm playing a mage.
Price of
playing
playing
my white mage. Which is very new to me. I'm like, why am I so squishy? Did you say 3? Is it still 3?
Yeah, it would be difficulty 3, but because of Craven's gravity device, automatically roll down to a 2.
Sick.
So it's only a difficulty 2. So your target number in that case, you're trying to roll a 6.
Okay.
Because this is big bird, very big bird, careening very fast down to the ground.
Big bird.
Big bird.
Big bird.
Bird.
0, right? Oh.
That works.
Sick. Okay.
So it is a harrowing moment for everyone as you just hear the sound of this bird, of this condor just flying down, and it is also in a panic because the new Nopalzine would know this very well. The mounts tend to reflect the kind of emotional state of their riders, particularly the ones trying to keep control of them. And if you are panicking, they also get agitated. So this bird is like careening down, and it's a moment where it looks like you are about to like impact, but the bird just careens down just enough, and you all are able to like hold on.
Oh, storms! Oh, storms! Oh, storms! Oh, storms! Ah!
You hear this long, which you hadn't realized until you looked down with it going across it. The ends of the talons are also a sort of crystalline metallic substance, and you just hear this loud like just rip all across the ground. But you're safe.
That was a ride.
Everybody okay? Nopalzine like hops right up onto his feet, dusts himself off, and like is dragging everyone off of the bird, like trying to get everyone like, are you okay? You okay? You okay? You good? Hey, look at me. Look at me. How many fingers am I holding up?
4. Let's I don't think I need to ride a condor anytime soon. Wait. Is the condor okay? Is Danu?
You watch as Danu they're fine. He gets off the mount. He seems to have stabilized himself, and he has the look of someone of pure stoic grace. He walks over to Napazine, just puts a hand on your shoulder, says, "You know what you were doing," and then just collapses
Oh, no!
right there and just faints.
I want him to fall into my arms.
He does so.
Nepal's like has his arms out like, oh, there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're unconscious.
No, yeah.
Okay, it's fine.
Sit them down.
Well, here you go, buddy. Let me get a cold compress. Pours some water onto a cloth, puts it on Danu's forehead, goes to check on the bird.
You hear just from a little bit of ways a very, let me see, what is the description for, where is that word? So you watch as from the dome about a little bit more than a short distance away, another gust walker appears. This one with white, gray, and black forehead and beak, a black tail with white stripes on the underside, and little white patches, like little bars all across their skin, and a yellow and black striped stomach that seems to be covered over in a robe with a big Tuareg style sort of turban, and white, gray, and black on the feathers on their back. And see, who's disturbing old Camila? What do I have to deal with? Oh, hello there.
Hello.
Hello.
Me and my friends are here with Mr. Danu here, and we had to take shelter from some storm birds, which were looking to make a meal out of us. As you can see, they failed, thanks to the wonderful efforts of both my comrades Nopalzin and Adwan. And were it not for them, we probably would not have even been able to make it here. So, many thanks to both of them.
We crashed on your lawn. Do you mind if we crash on your couch?
It sort of gives a somewhat like quizzical look in your direction. Like you can tell Camila, she doesn't seem to see very well, so she's like getting probably a little bit closer than might be comfortable. And it's hard to tell whether it's just like the poor eyesight or whether she's looking at you suspiciously, because you are currently having an unconscious Danu in your arms and she doesn't know the context. But like, well, you seem like you've been through enough for today. Why don't we get you set up? It's just a bit of a rest stop along the way. The outpost is maybe another part of a day's travel that direction. And she sort of posts, but I see why you crashed. And she sort of now is looking far off in the distance as the two birds are just kind of floating dazed there. They don't seem to be going anywhere, as they're just kind of confused, because when you have two giant birds just conk each other in the head, they don't recover very quickly. All right, fair play to you both. Well, to all of you. Why don't you come inside? I'll see if I could get some food warmed up for all of you. And if you wouldn't mind, feel free to add a contribution to the walls here. No travelers and all that have to do the whole thing. And you would all know that usual custom for going to any sort of waypoint settlement or any spot that any traveler roaming across the skies of AEROWEN, they add their take on local events, creatures in the area, or stories they want to impart on murals on the walls of really any settlement buildings. But you see her just sort of start ambling about and say, well, hurry up. I'm not going to wait all day. I'm going to wait for those birds either.
AEROWEN is going to go straight for that wall, but also just constantly drawing, like creating almost like an umbrella but it's an umbrella that has the angry, cropped out bird sort of just angled up like this, just like overhead.
You see her, like her eyes raise a little bit, like she didn't quite see it the first time around, so she occasionally gets surprised when she looks up to see it again.
It's just
Oh.
moving like a really bad video game asset.
It's a loading screen animation for like an old like 8-bit game where like the little characters are at the bottom of the screen running across it.
Because it disappears when I move out of range and I have to make it again, so it's just like
It's having lag or really high ping right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go straight to that wall first and just like study it and try and memorize first look at it, take it all in, memorize as much as I can.
Yeah, and you see on the outside of the dome, it has that sort of satellite dish sort of technology that was catching the last bit of light from the sun, as it seems like with all of the commotion that happened, the sun does exist here, was beginning to set down in the distance. But with the light that's still there, you see ever so faintly, it's like a wall, mural paintings, vivid colors of blues, reds, yellows, greens, oranges. And it looks like there's it's like a long extended painting. Probably the best reference point for anyone who's ever heard of the sort of the mural painting in Los Angeles, where it depicts sort of the history of the US from like pre-colonial all the way through the like 50s, 60s, and 70s, that is essentially was done in kind of a gutter kind of ravine and then was now treated as sort of like a monument. This is think of a mini scale version of that, but you see that there are various other gust walkers. There are other people, various turbans, various sets of armor. There are folks who just added little details. Some folks have written notes in various scripts, just like, yeah, gust spots have been happening in that direction. Try and avoid those 6 settlements for right now. Occasional notes saying like, yeah, it's been weird lately. We've seen a stormbird all of a sudden. We don't know why they've been appearing, but they're getting agitated. You see some folks saying like there's probably a couple kids drawings on it where you see the kids happily talking about like, hey mom, I'm drawing here. Look at my Griffalo. You see this really like anteater headed beast that has a long giraffe neck body, but a kind of horse quadrupedal sort of design to it. But it's like a kid's drawing of it, so everything, all the proportions are really weird and off. And it's just a mural that has whole bits of local lore and history that just goes on all around this building. And it seems like there should be an end to it at some point, but the images keep shifting, and it's almost like they crop down and make additional space for folks to add details onto it. And there's just like this faint whirring noise and things like reorient.
I'd like to first go to where it said agitated stormbirds and sort of like put in a little bit of a confirmation, like expand upon that story, like that little thread, and just confirmation of 2 stormbirds and very agitated, but also just to try and depict it as, but also depict the close escape by Danu and Tali, the great condor, and just like put that in and add that in.
Well, fair play. Yeah, very kind of you to write a nice note about Danu. He's a bit of a grump at times, but he really does mean well. He has been getting folks around here safely. He must have been in good hands if he got through that one. Well, those 2. Huh? Come on in. I'll make some bed space for you. I'm just about to set to work on dinner if you all are interested in it. And the should be, you see her like pull out her own variation of this dowsing rod that you've seen, but hers seem to be almost like hue shift, like the sort of spectrum sort of opposite, whereas all the other whatever the colors on the one that Danu had, these ones are a darker one. She's like, yep, rural band should be coming out real soon. If y'all would like to join me outside for some food at night with a pretty sight, might be worth your time.
You're welcome in, but before that, I'm gonna check on my friend Ryan over there. He's kind of helped us from landing, and I want to make sure he's fine.
So do you go and pick up your little like gravity disc?
I pick up my gravity disc, try to like dust off the dirt, and then so here, meet Ryan. He helped us. Everyone thanks Ryan, please. He's kind of demanding.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
I already didn't hear from you. Ron, say thank you. Come on.
Paulson pokes the disc.
Whatever, man. Whatever,
Thanks. No, wait, come back.
man.
You hear a bunch of like for you, Nopalzine, you hear a bunch of like sounds, which translate Craven is like, that was rough. I appreciate the thank yous, but please don't make me do that again anytime soon.
Tough luck, buddy. You're just gonna have to, hold on to faith that you're not gonna be able to do that again.
Yeah, we'll see. You just see little bits of like spark go off of it, just faintly. It's like, well, I'm sure you'll treat me right. And then the color in it just dims.
All right, go back to sleep, buddy. You earned it. And he just puts it away. All right, dinner time.
So you all crowd into sort of this domed building, and it's not massive. It seems like most of the sort of the bed space for this one, as the settlement itself could host the massive bird, but the overall space to actually house people there was not too big. But it has the kind of I trying to figure out my best reference point for this, because I've seen how a lot of I think it's like North African families sort of sit down like on the floor and have that main communal spot where like the food is set down on the floor where people can sort of take their like use their hands or like use to grab like starches and things to grab the main sets of food with.
Is it almost like a Ethiopian food where
there's more that kind of setup in terms of the design of the room. Like it's an open space. There's a lot of on the outsides closest to the actual where the walls of the dome on the interior are, everything glows with a very faint crystalline sort of light that is very indicative of a lot of the tech that the world currently understands and that's been repurposed for a lot of the Numenera that has been repurposed. But you see that I think it's Camila has taken some time and she's pulled out a couple of different jars. It looks like there's very silvery glass jars. And when she opens up one of them, there's a very pungent smell that comes out off of it. And then she pulls out a couple of other jars and you see her pulling out kind of a very well decorated and well painted over earthenware pot, where she puts it on top of this very small circular silver device, and she just kind of like taps it on the side and it starts glowing, and then it stops and she's like she's like trying to get it to like work again, and then it finally starts glowing and there's almost like a mini fire that erupts very quickly beneath the pot. Like, let me add this, let me add that, let me add that, and you smell these pungent things going into it. There's this very strong lemony smell that comes into it. And it's the lemony sort of, it's like preserved lemons for anyone who's ever eaten dishes using those as a base, with a heavy scent of, you see her just like pulling out vials out of nowhere, and they're like this big. We're talking like Dragon Ball Z-esque, like Z capsule size, where they're far too small to hold the amount of spices that are actually going into it. She dumps a whole bunch into this clay pot, and you smell ginger, cumin, turmeric, cinnamon, saffron, paprika, and she pulls out another little jar that's like tiny little big. She uncorks it, and a whole chicken falls out of it, and she cooks for a fair bit of time. And you have sort of imagine kind of like Vietnamese one pot sort of clay pot sort of cooking style dishes, and sets it aside. Should be ready in a few, but why don't I get you some chairs and get ready for the sight outside?
Nanai, please let me. The least I can do is help you.
Oh no, you've been through enough today, dear. Don't worry. I may be old, but I'm not useless.
I'm sorry. I didn't intend that. I just as a thank you.
Don't worry. You worry too much, dear. Here, relax.
And
Sure.
Nepalzin leans over and taps Hanan on the shoulder while looking at her and says, "Hanan, I think you're doing a me right now."
And like
leans
Hanan's
back.
face is just like first just absorbing what Nopal said, and then just like horrified, like, and then just walks away.
Yeah, and sort of to close out this moment with the tension and the high intensity of that escape to this cozy moment indoors, you see this magnolia warbler gust walker woman, Camila. The smells fill up the dome. She says, "All right, before it gets too stuffy in here, why don't you come out and see the nighttime with me? It's one of my favorite things I've loved ever since I was a little girl." She leads you all outside. Once again, pulls out various Z capsule-esque sort of devices. Some of them, this time, you notice a lot of the tech has various crystalline sort of patterns to it and motifs. Chucks a few out and makes chairs that are appropriately sized for each one of you to sit down on. And as the sun fully sets, all across the sky, see streams of light, like bands of rainbow and aurora borealises, but not just the faint sort of colors that happen in our world. It's like the full rainbow of colors just appear all over. And for those of you who've lived in other regions not quite this north, you've seen your own variations of these. They happen a lot at the border zones between the main locales of AEROWEN. This is a far richer, far warmer color than some of you might have seen. It's bright, it's beautiful. And if you can't imagine that, also just imagine the life stream from Final Fantasy VII, but like rainbow. It erupts across the sky, just emanating light and warmth. And you see this what you notice is talking with her over time. It's very old Gustwalker. She just lights up with the smile and the joy of a small child. She sits there, she raises a cup to all of you. To your health and to safe travels to you for wherever you go from this place. We do what we can so that all of us can.
Hanan raises their glass also. To safe travels and good health to you as well.
And this is where we will take our break, everybody. So, I can take care of the quick little break time notes before we head off. Want to give thanks to all of the shout out to all of our amazing patrons who have been there for us and help support the kind of work that we do here. Hold on, let me pull up the dang old. Here we go. Want to give a shout out to, in particular, our Patreon supporters of the wonderfully high tiers of Jack C, Donald G, Nerdy T, Michelle Lee, Abigator, Anino, and Andy T. Thank you so much for what you do. You are the hosts with the most members, and we thank you for helping make this channel possible. Much love to you. And as we head to our break, why not head over to roll20.net/start/WTTP and sign up for a free account today. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games, and with modules galore on the marketplace, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy. We will be back in about 10 minutes as our group has survived an encounter with stormbirds and begins to make their continues their journey on north to their ultimate destination, and where perhaps more of this journey will properly begin. But we'll see you all in about 10 minutes. Stay safe, everyone. Watch out for stormbirds.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If you get a second during break, you should check out one of our amazing sponsors. We're now proudly sponsored by Roll20, the best virtual tabletop for all your role-playing needs. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games. And with more modules than you can shake a stick at on their new revamped storefront, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy. Sign up today by clicking the link below or heading to roll20.net/start/WTTP. Tabletop Loot is an amazing place to get your dice bags, dice boxes, and more. And now you can get 15% off your purchase at tabletoploot.com by using the code WTTPDICE at checkout. Tabletop Loot, your party starts here. While you're at it, check out our so awesome merch store, So Nerdware. So Nerdware is the place to find all your Welcome to the Party merch and other amazing stuff too. Head on over to sonerdware.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdware, it's what the nerds wear. Devin Rue, the amazing mistress of maps, has kindly supported the channel since the beginning and provides graphics for many of our streams. Head on over to rueinc.com to check out some of the best fantasy cartography on the web. Our Patreon supports the creators and producers of the channel by providing Roll20 subscriptions, cost coverage for video hosting, and more. If you want to support the channel while getting podcasts a week early, gaming articles that are published on Patreon first, a shout out during our break, and more, head on over to patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg and throw us a buck or $5. And last, but certainly not least, help out the party. Subs and bits not only support the stream, but also every 500 bits or a tier 1 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a reroll or system equivalent, and every 1000 bits or tier 2 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a crit or system equivalent. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The game will be back in just a few minutes.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hello there, everybody. We return from what I'm certain has been a delightful break, where I'm sure no one was hungry at all, given the descriptions that I gave at the end as we set off into it. As I take joy from your reaction, Gemma. I'm just going to note that for the record. I that's the part of me as a GM that enjoys the quote unquote suffering of my players. It's not the actual suffering, it's just seeing them be like, I want this food. Damn it. Why can I not have it now? I'm like, well, we'll go work on that. But anyways, for those of you tuning in to shenanigans, aside from us just getting upset over the food we can't have right now, we return back to the morning after our party has dealt with a rather high-intensity escape from a pair of massive elemental storm birds who nearly got to our party riding upon the saddle mount of their condor ride. But we awake to the next morning. Camilla, the Magnolia Warbler, old Magnolia Warbler Gust Walker, is just waking up, and she seems to have nice bits of coffee. There looks as though she's pulled out a almost silver colored metallic box. It almost looks like it has the shape of like a portable like fryer, like a deep fryer, but she pulls out a couple bits of what look like unbaked dough, sets it into little molds inside of this device, and she like presses a configuration of twist knobs and presses a configuration of buttons on the side, and you see it doing what is pretty common to a lot of the Numenera tech that Camila seems to have on her, which is begins to light up, then it fades away, then she very gently pats the side of it and gets it to work. And very soon you have very fresh bread rolls just being made for you right there. The room is filled with a scent of deep, rich, freshly brewed coffee. And you see even from a little container that is, when she pulls it out, it's kind of astounding to see, old as she is, her handling this deeply cold glass jar that is filled with frozen fruit of some kind. It seems to be citrus that likely AEROWEN would recognize as coming from Hydros. But she twists the cap off of it, or the jar lid off of it, but she looks as though she does it in a very meticulous manner. And when she pulls it out, she grabs a cup and she says, would anyone care for some passion? No, sorry, wrong voice. Would anyone care for some passion fruit juice?
I would.
Please.
I would
I'd
definitely-
love
yes,
some.
Please, I'd love some.
Yep. Same with me.
Very carefully pours them out. So, where are all of you headed off to? What has you all getting into a bit of a fuss with those big old birdie friends out there?
They're going to see the tower, and I'm helping them not die along the way.
Have you heard about the tower?
Oh yes, well the tower, yes, the tower outposts and such. That's just where a lot of folks go to. But oh, you mean the temple? Oh, the temple. Yeah, I've heard about the temple. I thought it was nothing but just stories. A lot of young folk were saying to just try and talk up going through the fog, but sounds like from what I've heard, fog really has pulled back some. And sounds like a lot of you are trying to go and investigate the temple that's emerged from it. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one, there's never been a record of the fog's opening, so this is literally a chance of a lifetime.
There's so much to learn, so much to discover, just so much.
Yeah, and there's also a possibility that we'll find some new ciphers in it, maybe some scraps and stuff like that. And well, I'm up for finding new friends.
Well, I suppose all of us have to take our journey at some point, though I must admit I kind of wish that a lot of you were not going somewhere so dangerous. I've never known anyone to come back from the fog.
Oh, that's why I'm going. Don't worry.
Are you being a protector type for these kind folk?
Yeah, I'm a guard. I'm a guide. A guard guide. A guide guard. I don't know if there's a better word for it.
Choir.
Escort, perhaps?
Mm.
Sure, that one sounds fancy.
She chuckles a little bit and she's like, I like you. You seem very kind and very understanding. And I like your wit. She turns over and she's pointing in Haroon's direction. Remind me of a few other folk I've met in my time.
Thank you.
Well, can't be traveling anywhere on an empty stomach. Eat up. And she like does the like abuelita thing where like if you've ever been around a grandmother, like, a brown family where they're like, no, you're not eating enough, and it's like 3 times the
like,
servings that you should be. It's like,
Lola, I just ate. Eat.
It's like, yes, that was your first meal. Here is the second meal.
That's just the opening meal. Here's your second meal, and then this is your finishing meal, and it's all just stacks.
Yeah. Anak, you're so thin. Eat na.
Fiction so real is very on top of the ball there.
Too real.
Yeah.
Literally, that I was just about to say. Okay, that is 1, 2, 3. Jesus, that's 4. Okay, I'm gonna put that down as just 4 rerolls at any time folks can use, because wow, fiction so real just chimed in so. I think that's 400 bits in the last count. Jesus, thank you so much.
Thank you for the help. We're gonna be needing all that.
Given your roles at the start of the session, you might be needing it.
Now.
GM, that's great, GM. Thank you.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know.
You've had 3 rolls, so it's gonna look bad if even one of them is
3
bad.
rolls.
Yeah, exactly. It's 3 rolls.
Doing fine.
Okay. 3 categories of rolls, whatever. But Camilla just sort of sets you off on your way, and you see Danu is also like. Danu had a bit of a late start, and also a really early evening, so they're kind of wake up late, but they're like, yeah, okay.
Has Danu had enough to eat?
Yeah. It's just sort of like, again, poke 2 eyes, just wide-eyed the entire time, but having more of that look of like, I guess the equivalent would be like someone who saw the face of God and is still okay, like has that kind of expression on their face. They're just like, I'm alive. I saw my ancestors and I'm still here. And he's just like, yeah. Let me just set Tali on her way. Let me do the call. And you just see Danu, despite being very gruff, you see them go up, and he's very tender, set of movements, just brushing along the neck of Tali, the massive condor, whose sort of frilled crystalline frill along the top of their normally bald head just sort of dulls to a gentle kind of rosy pink color that you would imagine probably is a sign of affection. Is like, head off to the other settlement. Next folks got to take care of you. And you just sort of see that condor just go.
Anon starts waving. Thank you. Bye.
Well, let's hope those 2 birds didn't come when they're ascending, huh?
Raven, don't say that.
And appearing from behind massive clouds, you see nothing.
No.
I'm not gonna kill the condor. I love them so much. Why would I do this?
No.
But no, you do see another massive bird begin to. You hear Danu just sort of make a couple of different. And like pulls out. It looks like it's a mini sort of like bullhorn, but the outside of it has little bits of vines wrapping through it that are slightly warm and look like soot and bits of soil that have collected together into solid vines. And as you start singing this sort of thing, it echoes out through this device out into the wind, and it's like it carries on for a bit. And then you watch as, let's see. Yep, that one. I'm gonna go with this bird. It takes a little while, but with a court jester hat-like head plumage, pale gray and white colored feathers, and a chestnut-colored abdomen, and this really, really, really big bill that looks like a trowel shovel. Just this big kind of boat-billed heron-esque bird just sort of shows up, and it's a little off-putting when you see it flying towards you, because it's just sort of going, and it's hard to tell at first whether it's aggressive or not, and whether you've got another big bird coming at you. But Danu's like, oh, there, Herschel, calm down. Don't get so excited. Yes, and you hear various little chirping sort of noises, and seems like Danu is communicating with Herschel. And then the bird just sort of calms down, and you notice that it has another saddle on its back, and it just sort of crests down, and it gets very close to all of you, and just opens up the mouth with the big thing. But it looks like it's basically just saying hello, but it's a very awkward bird. And then it just rests down, almost like it's waiting. Everyone ready to go?
I can barely move, but yeah.
Yeah. Camila's cooking will do that for you. Real sweet. Come on, let's get going. I got to get you to the outpost by the end of the day, and then from there you can find your next travel down. Wish I could take you the whole way, but frankly, I'm a little skittish after all that.
You've done more than enough. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's what we do for everyone. Don't forget, any kindness I show you, you show it back to someone else. Pay it forward. That's how it works here.
Good. And the wall is still up here, right?
Yeah, the wall for the dome, the walls with all the murals and everything.
So everyone shall go up there and draw a small little picture of like a circus tent with the symbol of the circus that he's part of on it.
It's very sweet. It sets aside, and it almost seems like for a moment as you make the little drawings and such, the little kid drawings a little bit away from it react to it, and they begin to be delighted, almost like your little bits of drawings and words, they begin to perform for the kids, like almost like an essence of your own spirit and talent is manifested into the mural, and it's carrying on that memory. Yeah. The heron just waits, wings outstretched. You ready?
Proceed.
Be on, friend.
Suppose so.
All right. What was the expression? Oh, what it's like. It seems like Danu's struggling for a second, and it's like, wait, what is it?
Let's mosey.
Was it like yip or something like that? Yeah, I think that was a yip.
Yip.
Alpha, yip.
Yip.
You knew where I was going.
just as they were figuring that out, it's like just like trying to figure out and going through like iterations of murals of like ideas like, well, maybe this, no, maybe this, and then just as the bird takes off.
Imagining like an actual like projected Rolodex that the bird's feathers just like cut through as you like start swooping off. this time, flight is relatively uneventful. It takes a few hours of travel, and Danu sort of just relaxed a little bit more. Seems like he's very attentive of the skies today, a little bit more than he was yesterday. And there's a couple moments where he just seems slightly on edge, and he's just like, "Is that no? Is that no?" You do
It's a cloud,
occasionally.
friend. It's a cloud.
I know, but you never know. You never know at this point. It's just like keeping tight hold of the reins, and it's just he's trying his best. He's still a little freaked out from yesterday.
That one's a steel feathered skin sky skipper. You can tell by the way that the light reflects off the
off of the feathers. Yeah.
right.
You see, it's like, as you say, that there's like a mongoose shaped like figure, but it has kind of like ostrich feathered wings to it, and occasionally it has a sort of crystalline like rainbow pattern that reflects when the light hits it, but the shades and the hues are changing as it go by. He's like, "Eh, oh, you're right, Skipper, got it.
It's okay."
Carry on for a bit.
Since we are spending time in the birds 1-2 hours, can I try to work on one of my plan? I don't know how it works really, but just wondering.
Yeah, we'll say you can set aside time for this, and during in between sessions, we'll work out what the eventual consequence of that will be, so that we're not getting into that, because that one I still need to brush up a little bit on how it properly works, because it's a little bit of a weird one. But we'll say for right now, yes, you would be able to, and feel free to describe what everyone sees as they're on the saddle mount. What are you doing during this time?
You just see him scratching in like the corner of the saddle, just like, okay, so this, nope, that one, nah, and then you can see like he sometimes flung something off off to the back, and then maybe someone gets hit by one of the tools that he flung. It's like, shit, fuck, no, I ran out of energy. No, wait, I ran out of brain power to even make this. Hey, Anand, do you have like some potion or something that can, for my brain power or something?
I don't. Let me see. And they kind of carry like a little satchel of like little bobs and doodads of like healing stuff. Not really. These are more for like more severe injuries, but I guess I would just suggest sleep. Rest your mind.
Buddy, let me tell you something. Machines don't sleep, and I don't sleep.
Is that not that?
I'd like to call my sleep fainting.
Fainting. That does not sound good at.
It's not. It doesn't sound good at first, but it's like surprise sleep. So that's how I sleep. And right now, I need some potion so I can finish this one invention of mine. It's gonna help us a lot. And I'm gonna name him Greta.
Well, hold on. I don't know if this would help, but they kind of hand this like these little capsules into your hand, maybe or it's like a little actually not a capsule, I take it back, like a little vial of a drink. And I don't usually prescribe this often, but it's supposed to give you a big energy boost for the next near 24 hours, but but it's supposed to keep you more energized, and so hopefully perhaps your brain might spark up a little bit on that.
Spark up.
It
That's
gives you
exactly.
more energy, like a drink of energy.
Oh, I'm gonna need a lot of those, so you better keep it coming.
Well, one should be enough for one day. I would not. It increases your heart rate. And please don't mix this with any alcohol or any other substance. Please don't.
So it's like a powered up battery. All right, I see. And I just snatch the thing and I just
Oh, okay.
And then it's just like, all right, let's get back to work, you baby.
Oh dear, what have I done?
and then you better and then you can see like stools begins flying around at a rapid.
I just look around and
I'm half tempted to ask everyone to do a speed defense roll.
just like trying to duck down to, but okay.
No, you don't have to actually do a roll, but I'm just imagining everyone has that like.
Keep a note. Don't give the nerd gremlin some drugs.
Oh.
So, on that note, the work passes through for a bit, and you eventually see coming in the distance another massive floating structure. Now, the best reference point we might have to think about it is the shape and perhaps design is like a lighthouse, but it also looks as though it has the form of leaves coming out of it, of which there's other smaller settlements or little homes all stacked around it. And the whole structure is this strange mix of crystalline metallic material and deep green moss and vines that are wrapped around one another in a spiral that just encircle up until it reaches this sort of kind of like odd, like the cap for the actual top of the building is a little bit wider than the actual structure itself. And you know this to be the place known simply as Outpost. It is the northernmost spot that forms the last barrier, or at least settlement, that's been established before the walls and valleys of fog that just cover the whole of much of what people would see looking down from their islands to the quote-unquote ground of AEROWEN. This is the last spot, sort of the last safe zone before the valleys of fog rise up again. And you see that there's like a few almost little sparks, like mini like flares go off of one of these branches far off in the distance, that as the light streaks across the sky, it makes a message that effectively just means come on in. And you're able to land, and it's quite bustling here. There are various people of various backgrounds here. There's some folks who look as though they're carrying bits of weaponry on them, some with glaives, some with short swords. Folks who look like they're performers who dance and sing and seem festive. There are folks who maybe are a little bit more like Hanan's sort of background of kind of the healer sort of types, and look like they have various belts and pouches that, while similar to Craven's sort of tech mechanical wizard sort of vibe, look like they're full of various little bits of technology and even little powders and pills within them. And you see a blue jay, Gus Walker, just sort of flaps and waves you in for their errand to land. And like, hi ho, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Lovely to see such wonderful new folks turning into Outpost. I imagine you all have some important business to get up to. Feel free to settle down in one of the domes over there. and we'll have you all processed and set up to wherever you need to go after this point.
Understood. And is there anything that you would need from us to make processing go smoother, or should we just wait?
Oh, just wait for a bit. Things should be just fine. Not too much commotion happening.
All right. And at this point, I guess when we enter the dome, Harun will take a few moments to switch up into his explorer clothes.
Harun,
Slightly flashy.
I would actually like to, at
yeah.
this moment, I would like to offer you a GM intrusion.
Okay.
As you arrive in this place, bustling, do you have a name for your mother by any chance?
Sadia.
Sadia?
Mhm.
I offer you this possibility that you have the chance to see someone excitedly waving in your direction and just sort of looking like pointing for a second. Now, I won't say any more details about who it could be, but if you accept the intrusion, she'll start walking over in your direction.
I'll accept it.
Okay, so you get 1 experience point to spend, and you get to give an experience point to someone else.
Okay. I'll toss that to Craven for saving our skins earlier.
Okay, so Craven, you have an experience point to work with. So you see this very excitable, very squat looking, let's see, what bird would you want to say him? There, yeah, yep, that would be the most awkward one. Let's go with that one. You see with full black feathers with right around the sort of neck area, a white little band. White belly, yellow knob on the end of her bill, and most striking, this crest of feathers with a fleshy that curls forward. So it almost looks like if you imagine like a swooping sort of haircut, but this is just bands of feathers that just sort of swoop back along the crest. And she's wearing this long traveler sort of gear, maybe has a fair bit of light armor, but she's waving enthusiastically at you. Wait, is that Harun? Is that Harun? Is that Sadia's boy? Oh, it must be Sadia's boy. Oh, and you just see her like excitedly starting to run over.
Guys, does anybody see a woman with angry woman with a rolling pin anywhere nearby?
No. No.
Huh? What?
No?
What?
Why should we be? Do we need to watch out for someone?
Harun, are you in danger?
You want me to buzz up?
Nepalzin immediately like grabs him by the shoulders. Are you in danger? Do we need to get you? I shoves Harun behind him, raises up his shield, and looks around for some manner of assassin.
That shield won't help you. She's very proficient with that rolling pin.
Okay, then aggression is the better part of a good defense is a strong offense.
Okay. Look, if Mum is here, we're not going to engage. We're just going to run. That's smart.
Or I can.
But that's your mother.
I can try to distract him if you want. Not her.
No. Let's see what it's
Hanan, I think I know about people. There are all kinds of creatures where the mother tries to eat its young. I think we're dealing with a situation like this. Maybe we should leave it to the professionals.
Are your mothers going to eat you?
I don't think I like that tone, Nepalzin.
You'll thank me when we get out of here in one piece without being eaten by Harun's mom.
We also got here.
Yeah, we're going to find a place to hide, and then we're going to go back about our business. It'll be fine. Quick, down this alleyway.
Well, let's find out if she's here in the first place before we react.
Nepalzin has already run. He like slide. He does the like, you know, video games where you hold the stick down one direction and then you snap it back, and he does the slide animation of like. Hup,
Yes.
hup,
Love the slide.
Yeah,
we're not running.
There's various there's like various, they're not massive buildings, but like each of these leaves almost look like their own mini little settlement unto themselves. It's almost like the leaves that have grown out of this outpost are like fragments of floating islands that have just slowly become tethered to the vines composing parts of this lighthouse sort of tower.
Oh dang.
Yeah. Weird shit. Sci-fi weird shit is good stuff for improv material. But yeah, Haroon, this person is still like excitedly running towards you. It's like, I can still see you. I'll be there in just a moment.
Quick, her vision must be based on movement. Don't move. Stay still.
I shall stay still and wait. I know running would be rude at this point.
Hanan doesn't understand how standing still would work, so they're just like, no, Paul, why are we standing? Like, if you want to run, we should just run. I thought
we were running, but then Haroon isn't running, so now I'm confused because the dynamics of the situation have changed, and it takes me a few seconds to switch gears.
And
so I'm still sort of catching up between the fight and flight brain.
And this is Haroon's mother. We should not be running from.
Not her exactly, like her friends.
Oh, so her friend is going to try and kill you?
No, I hope not.
Wait, you're not certain?
Nepalzin puts his hands on his hips.
We're both having our hands on our hips and like
takes a few steps forward.
Also just like stops it.
I seem to have misunderstood the situation.
I seem to have ineffectively communicated.
While you're saying that, you just see like, oh, aren't you such a nice, handsome young man? And you just see she's the for reference for viewers, it's a curacao bird. If you want to look it up, they're very pretty, but they have a big frill on their heads. There's like black and white feather frill. She's just like patting Nopalzi, and she's like, oh, he's so strong too. Now, do I have it right? You said he's lovely child. Do I have that right?
Yes, you do.
Oh, what are you doing out here? Oh, I'm sure you're making her proud. Oh, it's just wonderful. She always spoke so highly of you, and she's doing the like kind of aggressive like mom friend like cheek tug and everything. And it's like,
I am definitely aiming to make her proud, and I am most certainly not on the run. So that is how that is going. I am exploring as she has wished me to do so. She gave me a very motivational speech about how I should explore and that my days in the circus are probably best to come to a conclusion.
oh, a circus performer. Oh, you must be so talented. Is this part of your troupe? Are all of you lovely people performers with this sweet young man? She's just like, she's still doing the like fussing over you kind of thing.
We're explorers. We are going on exploratory ventures throughout the world to learn more about it.
Oh, well, it's wonderful. Give me a moment while I pull out a name for this actual person before. That one. Yeah, that one. Go with. Well, hello everyone. My name is Malyadi. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I am a friend of Haroon's mother, who's always been so sweet to me, and she's always spoken so highly and how proud she is of her boy, and just all manner of just good things. I'm sure he's keeping good company. Just such a strapping man over here, and is like gesturing towards Nopalzin, is just like fawning. It's like,
who is oblivious.
I think Hanan kind of like glances at Haroon and is just like, oh yes, he's been such a pleasure to journey with Auntie.
Oh, you have manners. I like this. Your mother would be very proud of you, Harun. You do. You bring much pride and much joy to the Musafir name. Wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. Aiming to fulfill the family agenda of going out in the world and making our own stories. And yeah, I'm completely content with this, particularly.
Well,
how is she doing? Have you met her recently?
she's doing quite well. She was planning to make a bit of a trip to Luminara. I think she's trying to get a view of some of those sunspots out in the fields people have been capturing. I've heard that they've been finding some new tech that can help power some more of the old technology using some of the sunspots that occur there. But I don't quite understand any of that old nonsense.
It may as well be magic sometimes.
It may as well be. It's part of how this world must work, I suppose. But it's lovely to see you all. And sort of just goes around and just like does very sweet gestures and like sort of stops for a second looking at Hanan. Oh, another one with the markings. Oh, quite wonderful to see more folk like that. Oh, such pretty designs. Well, I hope you all have such a wonderful time and stay safe. You know you wouldn't want your mother to worry.
No, not at all.
Oh, well,
In any case, you will have yourself a good day. Do you need anything? I have some extra food I can toss to you if you need it, or some shins.
I will be fine, but thank you so much. Again.
No problem.
And then she just sort of just walks off, and now at this... Oh, sorry.
Good journeys, as she walks away.
She does a very like small like sort of bow and gives, and even for a second like does the little like cheek kiss out of like respect. Just it's maybe a little bit more like in the range of like mom stop fussing kind of territory, but she walks away and she looks like she has a very nice pep in her step, like you've made her day. She's just walking, and there's just various other people, various gust walkers, and also other individuals who many of you haven't seen in a while, who are a little bit more kind of insectoid shaped. They look but it's not just sort of bipedal. Some of them have like 6 legs but are more hunched over and standing up. But and there are various varieties of soldier flies based off of wood gnats, other various kinds of flies. But you see distinct among all of them is some variation of a crystalline pattern, just encased either within the wings or the legs or within the very massive orbital eyes a lot of them have. And you know these to be among many of the Moscara people, folks who have in recent times come into their own across AEROWEN as those who some folks who are more scholarly, like more someone of Aduan's background would know of them as like they were said to have been born, they'll use phrases like they were born of Numenera. Other folks would just be like, yeah, they just came out of the ground. They just showed up. Like, and both are kind of true. From what people know, they just seem to have been folks who gained higher sentience and became more self-aware with the time they spent near caches of crystalline Numenera. See a lot of these folks walking around, and you see one in particular who, let's see. Yeah, one who has sort of long, very thin, spindly legs, has both wings lying flat over the abdomen, and little smaller crystal eye shards that form the orbital eyes on their face that they look through. And seems like they have like a clipboard equivalent, but it's just floating in midair, and there's just like vibrating pen. And they're like, "Hello, dear. It's nice to see you all. Are you the folk who we've heard have been interested in traveling to the temple?"
Yes.
Yeah, that's us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see. Let's see if we can get some stuff sorted out. Oh, hello there, Danu. Lovely to see you there. We hope your journey back is safe. Why don't the rest of you come on with me? We'll start heading out and start getting you all properly set up for your travels.
Thank you, friend Mascara. Bye, Haroon's mom's friend.
She's just like still waving excitedly, like even from a distance. She's doing the you're like, oh, and don't forget to eat more, like enough. Oh, and remember to have water. Like she's doing a few of those even as she's still walking away from this.
Aw, Harun's a mama, little boy. How's mama's little boy doing?
Proceeding on with the mission.
He thinks mama's little boy are being grumpy.
Carrying on, so that we do not burn Sansil with pure embarrassment of what I assume are other moments in his own life with his mom as well. So carrying on, you move through some of these settlements and you see that this outpost, the whole thing, while most islands have far off, way in the distance, like that's a like horizon level of distance away from when they're seeing the valleys of fog from them, the outpost is a little bit different. You stay on the first sort of level and then go off and up what looks like a vibrating sort of orb. It almost looks like a composed amber with bits of technological matter that's just sort of clinging to it, and it just sort of goes and it sends you up a few levels to pass by to a leaf. And there is about a 1-story size home. There are square windows on the side of this, and sort of comes by. Like, all right, let's see if we can take care of all these things for you. So let's see, do I remember everything I'm supposed to do? Get them here. Check. What was the other thing I was supposed to do? Oh, right, I'm supposed to give you this. And just sort of goes over and leads you into this very, it looks like basically a storage room. And there's like very fantasy, very typical video game-esque oversized chest just waiting in a corner of it, and just sort of like kicks it open a little bit and it pops open. So, out of character, I would like everyone to roll a D100, as this Moscara is going to outfit all of you with a cipher for potential protection or investigation or offensive capabilities. And whatever you roll, I will tell you what you pick up. So, let's see, what have we gotten so far? All right, from Haroon, the man seeking salvation from his mother's friend. And you receive the item known as a shocker. We'll probably have to pull that up later, but just write in your own personal notes, you receive shocker. There'll be a cipher that I'll get the description to you later. For Pausine 69, nice. You get an item called a reality spike, which I don't even know what that is, but that is one of the coolest names for an item I've ever heard.
I will be adding that. You're rolling on the book chart.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if y'all want to do during this time and
I'll
look
put
through
that
stuff,
in.
reality
Nice.
spike. And then let's see, what have we got? Gemma, ooh, really high roll.
Mm-hmm.
Visage changer.
Ooh, visage changer?
Visage changer. So, like, you cannot see me.
You can't see me, dog.
I am of the night. Now I am of the forest.
I am of the night. I'm Batman. Oh.
Now I am of the moon. Because Moon Knight is just a copy of Batman.
Oh
A
no.
cooler.
Hold up.
No, I'm
No,
not. I'm
You
not
guys
kidding.
are
I'm
stuck in
kidding.
everything.
I'm kidding.
Let's just stop it right there.
It's like, wait a minute. We gotta solve this comic book debate before we get into anything else. No. I'm kidding.
I'm liking some of these.
So Craven, you have D161. You have poison, emotion. I have no idea what that even means.
Potion, you mean like poison or potion?
Poison, and then in parentheses the word emotion.
Oh,
I don't know
It's-
what that's going to
It's
be.
an emotional poison. Not like
Oh.
it. Not like you. I say a bad thing, but like when you ingest it, it causes a thing to happen to you.
I was gonna say,
Oh.
I'm like gaslighting, like.
Toxic behavior. Got it. I realized they could put that in a little CPU microchip. They can do anything with technology these days. It's just
Numenera, man.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one.
Nanotech gaslight is my
Gaslight. No, what I immediately went to was like poison emotion is just a little chip that on repeat just says the phrase, well, actually.
I turned into a Karen.
You turn into a Karen. It is a Karen emerges from the chip and just says, can I see your manager? I know we don't have managers here.
Your manager.
Okay. I'm gonna get stuck on this.
Glasses appear for you to lift up.
Anyone, you get a teleporter parentheses bounder. And did I say everybody's? I think that's everyone. Yeah. But you see the mascara is like, so figured if you're taking on this job, just outfit you with some things. Hopefully it'll treat you well. But really, we don't know that much about what's down there. We've heard accounts from some folk who've tried to make some kind of trek over there, at least initially. Something about shadowy things with tentacles, something about big creatures with like 7 legs and like shards of silver, like mercury foaming at the mouth. We've checked into maybe a few of them, but as far as we know, we don't know. So frankly, I can't actually help you very much. Oh no, wait, sorry. What was that other one?
Is there someone who has more of as much detailed information as we have so far that I can take a look at?
Well, that would be me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you survived one of these things.
Oh no! I've never had to go on any of these trips myself. I always send people. Why go yourself when you could send other people?
The thrill of adventure and exploration.
I suppose. I did one in my youth. Once you do one, why would you ever want to do another one again? Get it all out of you at all once. But no, just we'll see to it you get outfitted with a nice bird that will be able to take you along your way. And well, what was it? Sort of pulls out again the like clipboard and goes through. Was it Nopalzine? Do I have that right?
Yes. I'm
Uh,
Nepalzian.
Yes, I think, and sort of like peers over the group, and you hear this sort of like every now and then from the eyes. There's not quite eyelids, but there's a bit of a clicking noise when the big orbital eyes just sort of the equivalent of what shutting one's eyes to blink would be like. It's just like a big kind of sound. It's like, I think you're probably the best one to manage one of them birds out there to ride over one of the mounts. But here, it hands you over roughly sketched sort of details that are pretty common. Folks make kind of like on the fly maps all the time, and I'd say I'd put that within your area of like knowledge with just general stuff with like say your glaive kind of background.
Mm.
But he's like, take it down this way, follow this path, and you should be able to get there by the end of the day.
Thank you, friend Mascara.
Much appreciated, and I wish you luck. This is Well, very much the opportunity of a lifetime, but also the possible death of a lifetime. So, good luck. Fairly well.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Most assuredly, I am certain you will find much excitement. Much danger, but much excitement. And feel free to come back, chat with me about the details. I'll get payment and any other things, and any other information I'm able to secure in the meantime, if anything else similar to this. But as far as we know, nothing's ever been found like this. And, well, they're the first ones interested in taking a full trip to really explore deep. Wishing you luck.
Thank you. And we shall hopefully be returning with a wealth of information.
And sort of heads off and leads you to another one of the leaf settlements. Seems to be there's like a leaf dedicated to arrivals, and there's a leaf dedicated to departure. The departure gate leaf is on another level, so you have to go over there.
We take another of these amber orb things.
Yep. And this one, it's almost like the light that emanates from it. Occasionally, folks, when they actually have to input something to it, it's like they're tracing their fingers and drawing little bits of sap that immediately crystallize and form a code that people put in. And then it shoots up to that level, and waiting for you on there, you see. Shall we go with there? Let's go with that one. That one's funnier. You see a very same size as all the other mounts, but though comparatively a little bit smaller. This one seems like it's built for a smaller group of people and might be more dedicated to this kind of job. Brownish gray, words are hard, on the featheration above and gray below, and a white wing patch that looks like a brilliant white crescent if it were flying, a blue eye ring, and legs and feet that are a little bit brighter pink, and it has a white edged wing and a short rounded tail, and it sounds like it's making little whistling noises as you're coming near. Very plump mount, but like cocks its head, and it looks towards all of you, like it almost looks like it's waiting for someone to like approach it.
Oh, or must be the ride.
Yes. So I guess we're all ready.
Yeah, everybody should have everything strapped on. You've got your gear. Everybody double check that everything is sharpened, that your devices are functioning at peak capacity, and we'll get along, I guess, now. Hello, friend. We're going to be working together very closely. You are beautiful and massive and very strong. My name is Nepalzin. What is yours? And like listens up at the side of the bird.
I would like you, Nepalzin. This is going to be an intellect roll.
Mm-hmm.
Difficulty. Let's give this one. This is a 3. This is something that there are people who are trained all around to do this kind of thing, but it is something that requires a bit of focus, as animals can be temperamental if they're not handled with care and well-being.
Okay. So I have a skill in placating animals that I think applies here, which will bump it down to a 2. And I'll spend a level of effort, why not, to bring it down to a 1.
Alrighty. And also, as a reminder, because you all have slept and taken like a full rest, your pools are back to their maximum. So don't forget that resets. Think of it, it's equivalent to long rests in that way.
Okay, well, with the nurturing characteristic, I also have something that recovers people, I think, for people who hang around with me. But I don't know if it deals with the pools though. It says, where is it? Oh my gosh, I did have this somewhere. We can go over it after. It's here somewhere. For some reason, I cannot find it.
My guess is that might be something about like taking a breather or like using the recovery action or something.
Yeah, I think it's like for those who are around me. And yeah, it is something in regards to recovery. Like they add either like I add a +1 or a +2 or something for those roll, like because apparently we roll for something. Like I would add on to that just
Well,
for
because when you're taking, you can normally take a rest, like I believe it's an action or just a short amount of time, and then
Mhm.
it's an action and then a short amount of time, then a longer bit of time, then like an 8 hour, and then by that point people assume you're going to take a full rest at that point. But though that roll I think is normally 1d6 plus some amount that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but you would be able to add on to that. It'd be
okay.
For the 5e reference, it would be the bard doing their Song of Rest. It'd be that kind of thing where they get to add a little bit to when folks take rest.
Okay,
It's
I just
that
wanted
kind
to
of
make
similar
sure
concept.
this wasn't. Yeah, I had a feeling this wasn't part of it, but just in like.
No. It's good to brush up. It's good to like check in and see like what things work for your particular skill set and helping. But that roll is high enough, and this bird just kind of leans in, and for reference, it's a white-winged dove that is just. And it's just like it's not because it's not a cat, it's not quite doing purring, but if you could imagine the equivalent kind of noises like a bird is making to indicate the like soft cozy canoodling sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's just like you. Sing that song. It sounds like you're singing. Oh, yes, of course. It's beautiful. Well, friend, you and I are going to be getting along just fine, I think. We need you to take me and my compatriots down below and beyond. And we'll be taking very good care of you so long as you are able to take care of us.
And it's sort of like if you could imagine a dove doing kind of a curtsy, this very massive bird is doing a little curtsy and just leaning into it, and then just sort of like nestling down to let you all climb onto it.
Okay. Are there any buckles that we're supposed to put on? Anything like?
Yeah.
Just okay.
There's strap-on sort of materials. The saddle is just sort of made, and the Nopalzine is a capable enough rider, and also folks with your particular backgrounds would have enough experience with traveling to know that like there's enough things here to strap down with. It's only when it's very agitated, like the Stormbird attack of the previous day. These are things meant for general travel and occasional turbulence, not quite dive bombing as a result of a giant bird coming after you.
Well, let's hope we don't encounter that in the way there.
But yeah, you're all able to get on and begin making your journey down. The sky is bright hues, bright blue and bits of white, and it's invigorating. It's somewhat mundane for maybe some folks who've traveled more than a couple of times in their life, but it's still a familiar rush. And then it becomes just perhaps a moment of, wow, we're really doing this. As you pass by what was often noted in the sky, these floating little markers, almost like tiny obelisks that emanate light far bigger than their own size, that mark the boundaries where the fog would rise up and block out access to the grounds below. and it's almost like kind of like I forget which figure it is. Is it Moses or no? I think it's Moses parting the waves kind of effect. The fog is just peeled back, and it's made this trench in the fog wall. The white-winged dove has a few moments of being a little skittish, but it gracefully rides down. It's a lot to take in. Not too many folks have ever really gone this far before. But you see, spanning for miles on ahead, forest, and then rivers, and then almost like shifting valleys of rock and stone from this high up. It's like the elements themselves are shifting in various ways, but mostly elements of water and earth. The rivers seem to just twist up into odd sort of designs and corkscrew patterns throughout the air, cutting through some of these trees. The vines spread out into various angles and that shoot up into the air and intertwine with the bits of water floating, sometimes in spheres, sometimes in just little corkscrews. Fly down. You see an open grove. Space just big enough to have the bird land safely. And for those of you who've lived lives in settlements, for those of you who've lived perhaps lives surfing the storm walls or coursing or traveling or performing with troops, the most striking feature, maybe not as much to Nepalzine, but even still just a little bit to you, is silence. It's quiet. There should be creatures, there should be just sounds everywhere, but it's quiet. The whistle of the dove. It goes out. It goes out what feels like miles.
Something's wrong here. There should be, you should hear things. There's no birds. There's no insects. There's nothing moving.
Orin shall take out his shall get his pole alarm ready. There's
I
either
don't-
something there's either something big nearby or this place is very, very, very dead. What do you
I think it's dead.
Do I can I kind of like look around and do I perceive anything with my sight? Like,
Do you walk forward a little bit, or are you just trying to take a look around?
yeah, I just want to, because Hanan notices the silence too, and it's very eerie. So I kind of just want to like maybe open up some sort of like senses and just see what, like, kind of like look around the perimeter and just see if there's anything really moving or if there's any sign of some sort of life.
I'll say I was gonna have this be a roll, but like this is just looking around and it's pretty open terrain. And before I get into that, thank you to Corey Hickson and Party of 9 coming in for the raid. We love your support and love having you here. You join us at a moment of very quaint, quiet relaxation, dread, ease, hard to tell. But you look around, Anon, and feel this pull, like the little bits of markings all over your body, there's just a faint glow of light that emanates from them. And it seems like it's leading you in a certain direction.
Yeah, I think Hanan like kind of just starts stumbling, like as if they cannot stop themselves. And I don't think they even know they're doing it. They're just starting to walk in that direction.
AEROWEN is going to just sort of like see this, follow, and then just they do go like, hey, Hanan, is everything okay?
And Hanan kind of looks at AEROWEN, and you can kind of see that their like amber eyes are starting to glow a little bit. I don't think they even notice, but and it's like, can you not feel that? There's something's calling, it's this way, and just starts to keep on walking.
May I? They hold out a hand, sort of this, you can see almost these wisps of color, sort of like just beginning to just to take a look. See if there's anything.
Okay.
So I'd like to attempt to scan, like as these colors, as these wisps of color, these almost images just radiate out, almost circling the ground, the area, like any nearby trees, but also around Hanan. And just trying to see like almost like, okay, based on this, what other information can be extrapolated. So as I just focus in on that. So as I scan an area, a creature or object always reveals its level, but I also learn whatever facts. I learn its level, and I learn whatever facts the GM feels pertinent about the matter and energy in the area.
I have to unmute myself. I would say it's like flickers of crystal, but they're this vivid, bright yellow, and then as your scan, as the colors sort of reach out, I in my head I'm sort of imagining like the colors sort of latch on and light on to certain aspects of things that they find of importance or relevance. They attune to these colorations of yellow and red orange, and they feel like sunlight. And they drag in a winding pattern past trees. And your scan only goes a short distance, so but you get the impression that it's starting to go in some particular course.
That's sunlight. Like just like as in from all around from this as I just go also like at all the little especially the pieces that where the color latched on here and here, and it's going
Sunlight.
That's the best way I can describe it. And I don't mean from sun, I mean it's coming from, as I just point at the other things that normally should not be emitting sunlight. And it's all path.
Nepalzin unsheaths his bow, which looks sort of like Aloy's bow in Horizon Zero Dawn. It's like a mostly wood with like metal components built onto it. It's sort of like a composite bow with quetzal feathers hanging off of it, and notches an arrow, and looks around at like the deathly stillness. And he says, "All right, Hanan, AEROWEN, you two seem to know what's happening. You lead the way, and I'll keep everyone in one piece. And Haroon and Craven, we're gonna need you two to keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm keeping an eye out. And he just lifts up his gun.
Just make sure you don't put your eye out.
I'm sure we'll be fine.
Is that a Christmas story reference?
You shoot your eye out, kid.
Sorry, that's what I immediately go to when everyone says that. Yeah, exactly. Ulfric went there with us. I love you, Ulfric. But do you follow the path?
Yeah.
At this point, Hanan doesn't really have a choice. Like they're just kind of following.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, I'm following, going. It doesn't feel
Ooh.
dead.
I like to, well, also we're traveling, I'd like to use my special abilities to scan for AEROWEN while we're walking around.
Here's the thing. This will be the last image you all see as you carry on for this session, as we are getting near the end of our time. As we've had to go over because of technical difficulties, but this will be the last thing you see, and it will be relevant to the whole party, but also Craven in particular doing that. Carry through the forest, and it's a bit of a rough handle, like probably Nopalzine, I imagine, with the most experience through it. It's like having to do almost like the machete hacking through different vines and like branches. And like things are like oozing sap of crystals, and then little bits of silver and mercury are coming out of different things. There are small butterflies that, disproportionate to their size, let out long tongues that latch onto like other surfaces and seem to feed on this sap. And they're both a mix of living and mechanical. But passing by all these things, pushing through, you see stretching out before you, not in distance, but in height, as though almost giants must have been ones to have carved and made this. You see a vast edifice. Like, best opening comparison I can give it to you is like, imagine the Temple of Time is like the front section piece of this. So like kind of faded, overgrown, mossy vines and foliage over what must have been at one point yellow and white stone. But it's like a mishmash of blocks on top of this. And they all seem to have this faint bit of movement. Like they're not quite connected, but they're not quite disconnected. They're just moving back and forth. Like you imagine kind of like a file cabinet, but there are segments of blocks just moving back and forth between one another. And as you scan for AEROWEN, Craven, you see there's just fragments, there's shards of material everywhere. This, as far as you all can tell, must be the temple you've been looking for, and what you are charged to explore and discover whatever you can. You find yourselves on whatever you might call the grounds and terra firma of AEROWEN, looking at the opening to a massive edifice of the old worlds. And that is where we're going to end our session for tonight. We went over a little bit, everyone, but I wanted us to get to this spot and leave you all on this image for what will be the end of our first session of a season to explore and travel and do ridiculous things together, and more chances for mother-related embarrassment, more chances for illusory wiki-tabbing knowledge illusionists pulling off a gutsy move. The mom friend, or the parent friend rather, the lovable traverser of the woods and the wilderness, and the mad scientist apparently. But gonna go around and again say thank you to all of the folks who followed us during this, who gave bits at the start, who hyped us up and gave us raids. Thank you to everyone who just tuned in and supported us. This is amazing to see folks turning out for this. And just going to remember, folks, to check out Discord and Patreon and the merch that we said at the top of the session. We're going to raid someone after this point, and of course my camera dies up right at the end.
No.
Oh, well.
You're back.
I'm back, don't worry. My camera dies always at the worst moment. But as our last bit before we do a raid, which I'm sure someone of our producing end or what have you will do the proper raid thing and will let me know who we're raiding so I can say that. Gonna go around just quickly so that we're not taking up too many people's time, because I know it's late for folk. Say who you are, where we can find you on the interwebs. So whoever would like to jump in first, you're up.
I'll do it again. Always happy to jump on the grenade. Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Simon once again. You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris, as well as on Itch under the same name, and on various streams around here. So go follow me on Twitter, and I've got a pinned tweet that has all of my upcoming streams and where you can find me.
Next up.
Okay, everybody, I am Sato, and you can find me on the Welcome Party Discord and here on Sundays.
Thank you. Next up.
Uh,
All right, Gemma, you're volunteering.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're being voluntold.
Here's a grenade. I'm Gemma. I'm on the Discords and Twitters as Kupo Knight. On Twitter, it's KUP0, KNIGHT. And yeah, I'm usually floating around somewhere on Discord and Twitter. And other than that, I am playing Animal Crossing and Final Fantasy VII Remake. That is my life right now.
And I'm Bram, and you can find me around as Defiatos, just blitzing about.
Full pigeon-like dance movement and all.
Crab dance.
Crab dance.
Yeah, my name is Noah, and you can find me at Twitter and Discord at AEROWEN. And well, you can also find me at today as Sunday, and also on Monday I have another campaign on New to the Party channel, Lingua Media, which I'm part in. It was a 5e game, so yeah.
Wonderful. And want to give a shout out to our wonderful producer Ulfrig, who helped me out in the jam when the production goblins began to come out. Actually, I'm going to say gremlins. I like goblins far too much to blame them. I blame the gremlins. Far meaner.
Major snap for Ulfrig.
Thank you, Ulfrig. And I'm Angela. You can find me at Phoenix24Film. I have a pinned tweet with all of my works, which include poetry, writing, and also, for those who are interested, personalized acoustic pieces for your TTRPG campaigns, which one was used as the intro sort of piece for a short shot series we had a while ago on the channel called Politics and Plagues. And also, if you want to check out my most recent piece through Art for Ourselves Spring Equinox issue, I have a piece in there called Motherhood in Transition and Finding Femininity in the Grief that Followed My Mother's Passing. So yeah, that's me. And I'm around the Discord and the Twitter sphere, usually sharing gay, trans, BIMPOC stuff, because that's most of my life in existence. So that is me. And so, travelers, attenders, viewers, thank you for joining us this evening. And we hope you will return to the majesty and mysterious world that is AEROWEN. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.